Yes. So now we will just go make a summary of all the things that we have taken in the last lecture. So we were seeing regarding the moral, financial, and legal, the main important thing that every organization should have to follow, and if not followed, the consequences like the accident and everything will make that particular organization to face this as their issues also. So if it is followed, then they have a good and safe working culture over there, and if not, then accidents and disasters become a part of it. We had seen the key terms in health and safety. We had seen like what is manager, what type of managers are there, and what all work do they do in their day-to-day life at workplace. So we had seen all the accidents and disasters that has happened in various sectors, from port, chemical factories, like ship industry, port industry, high-rise buildings, and we had seen in the chemical plants and commercial places, oil and gas sector, in the public crowd safety, public transportation, school, hospitals, airports, everywhere we have seen. Now, from all these accidents and disasters that we had seen, see, to control these things, like what benefit do we have of, like when we control these things, and how can we do it? So we should have to understand these three things, like what are the three important things. And once we understand this concept, then we will understand why health and safety is important and how it can be controlled and achieved. So we had seen the moral obligation that every people, each and every person, that could be a CEO, a board member, chairmen, general managers, project managers, supervisors, engineers, foremen, laborers, operators, drivers, engineers, like safety officer, safety managers, and all the people. Everyone has a obligation, which means they have an ethics. They have a like, they should have a moral obligation. They should have to like have a good thinking in their mind that they will make sure that they will control the accidents in their side. They will achieve good safety following in their industry. As because we had seen a lot of the death that happens yearly, the non-fatal occupational accidents, and the disability that the workers face. Not only the workers, this data what we see in that everyone includes. That could be even sometimes from the top management, sometimes it could be from the like middle management, and sometimes mostly this happens for the like people who are working, like the workers. Accidents, because they are the people who are exposed to work every time, and they are the ones who are like a victim of that. So we need to like lower this graph. That is the main purpose of the health and safety practitioner. We had seen the statistics data of India. To understand moral obligation, it is very important that you yourself should have to look at it. Look at like, if any accident happens to you, how does it feel to the family, to the society, to the public at large, the losses that happens, and then the same thing is applicable to everyone. And hence by we should have to understand that moral obligation is the first thing for the reason we follow health and safety. And then we had seen the employers, like they should also have to make sure health and safety is followed, and that is a very strict thing, because workplace is of the employer, which means he could be a CEO, the owners, the proprietors, and everyone. So they like make purchases of their machineries, like their industry workplace, they create the environment and everything. So it is their duty to make sure that the working place is safe over there and there is no hazards, dangers in which the people are exposed to it. So the employer should have to make sure that the industry or the sector or the unit or the workplace where it is 100% like in a very good safe working condition over there, and he should have to do his very best to give the health and safety practices in his site. So we are going to the new point. Before this slides we had seen everything. Now we are going to continue over here. Why to manage health and safety in the workplaces? Three things we had seen. One is moral, that we have completed now, moral obligation. Now second is a financial reason. Okay, see, why managing health and safety, which means very simple thing. There are like hundreds of industries, sectors we had seen. Everywhere there are safety officers. Everywhere the law says that there should be like safety being followed. So why, what are the reasons for that to manage health and safety? So we are seeing that reasons, how it could benefit the sector, how it could benefit the workers, how it could benefit the health and safety practitioner, how it could benefit the society at large, the public, everyone. So this case is also very good and important, which will make us understand moral, financial, and legal perspective, everything. So, see, when an accident happens, we are taking here the example of Union Carbide, okay, the Bhopal gas tragedy that has happened, 1984. So here, what happened is, we know the like what has happened over here. The toxic gas MIC was leaked from the gas from the like a plant, and it had caused a tremendous catastrophic like accident, and there were a lot of death, there are a lot of victims, injured people. So this case we are taking over here. So the event is very simple: toxic gas leak at a pesticide plant in Bhopal, India. Okay, see, when an industrial disaster happens like this, what happens is most of the companies could not recover, not only because of the law or like the trials and proceedings that happens in the court, but they lose a lot of money in that, a lot of finance has been lost. So we are going to see that case over here. See, the consequences, what has happened is like around thousands of people died here, more than 5,000 people were died, and like around 5 lakh of people were injured, and that injured is like permanent disability. There are serious injury, and there is also minor injury, and all this like cases has happened in that 5 lakh. So you can understand like 5 lakh 74,000 something, approximate that much like victims were there for this disaster they had faced, they have been the victims of that. Here, this has happened in 1984. Around by 1989, the Supreme Court of India had ordered that compensation should be given. So what Union Carbide did, they had given the compensation that was around like 470 million US dollars, which means 4,210 crores Indian money, INR, was given to the government of India, and from the government of India it was distributed to the like victims. The said like 5 lakh 74,000 approximate victims it was given. These are the official records, and it was distributed the amount. Now here, it's very simple that there are like 5 lakh more than 70,000, like this much amount of figure, this much amount of victims were there. So in that 4,210 crores was given as compensation. So when we divide it to one person, it is like around 70,000 rupees that they are getting. People who had faced death, to their family, the money was given was like something like very less money was given, like 1 or 2, 3 lakhs in that figure. People who faced injuries like in thousands, minor injuries and major injuries, so they were given like money in thousands and everything. But the results that has been faced by them, faced by these people, like the outcomes of this particular company's toxic gas health effects is very catastrophic. And till today also people are facing these consequences. Still, in Bhopal today also, this consequences is faced by the small babies also that comes to birth. Once the Supreme Court has said for compensation and that was over, within some years only what has happened is this company was acquired by the Dow Chemicals, which had limited their liabilities, which means the case the Supreme Court said for compensation, the company gave this much amount of compensation, and then within years this company was acquired by Dow Chemicals. See, now for Union Carbide, the figure like 4,210 crore is not that much big, because this is a company at that time. See, in every country they had their units like this. It is an American based company and they have their unit in, they were having their unit in India, in Bhopal. Same like that in many countries they have their unit. In yearly their like revenue was something like 10 to 12 billion at that time. So this is not like a big figure. The compensation that was given is actually very less to the victims. Now why I will say you, still today people are facing the consequences. So who is going to look after that? The company has created such a mess over there, such a like uh, they have created a graveyard. They have killed this that much amount of people. Still today, it is 2026 now, but people are facing the after effects. And whether if it is 2027 or 2050, whatever it might be, how many years it goes on, the effects will be there. And no one is looking after that. There are still today people protest, but no results of that. Hence, why you should have to understand one company which had not followed some health and safety procedures, some safety operating methods, and some safety standards, some 3 to 4 like systems, safety systems were not performing. That had led to this much amount of big catastrophic accident, like killing that much amount of people, and they had to give this much amount of fine. But this fine figure is actually very less. If too much amount of deep, the courts could had gone for the consequences, like thinking at that time only what after effects or what side effects and what like higher consequences will happen in the future regarding that, then the compensation should be calculated in very much high, more than this figure. So not only this Union Carbide company of Bhopal gas tragedy, like this there are every cases where such major accident happens, the company loses a huge amount as finance for compensation and a lot of things. And due to that, and due to such consequences of that, the company is not able to recover from such losses. Now, I will just give you one example. There was a company in India, so they were producing the detergent chemicals. So that company is a very prestigious company, very big company, and they are supplying it for like very branded markets available in India, like the detergent regarding things. And what happened was they have a very big unit that was running for a very long time. So they were going in good profits, good welfare were given to the workers, and everything was going smoothly. So with that good profits and all this good setup going, they identified that their systems are actually like manually operating systems, and they want to make it to like automatic system. And this unit, they cannot stop it, or like they cannot do side by side maintenance of that. It was not, it was like impossible for that time, because production was going continuously. So they had an idea to start a setup, completely new setup with complete automatic system. And all the construction began. They had installed all the things and everything was going good. Also, this company had a lot of like good contracts, good clients and everything. So the work was fantastic what they were doing. They had a lot of production and they wanted to like make it big. So later what happened was the health and safety system was like very welfare was given, which means the workers are working very good, so good welfare for them. But health and safety system was not that much great. There were systems, but it was like not that much good. So the new unit had everything, like every automatic machines that follow good amount of safety. So worker safety were also good over there with that machines. And they had it like all the fire line systems and everything, complete system, everything they had. So what happened was, due to production needs, the first unit that they had it was not like it alone could not make that much amount of production. They hadn't got some new clients and contracts and offers. So what they did was, the other unit which they have created, like made, the work was still pending, which means there were some documentations, there were some official confirmations from the authorities like the fire and everything that was still pending, and the electric lines, and there were some pending works also. So what they did was, just think if tomorrow is the inauguration of this, and in the inauguration like all the uh, companies, uh, upper like top management till the lower management and all the clients and everyone was invited. One day before, at night, the production what they were doing, new plant, new setup, new machineries and everything. Remember, the fire line was not working. Now the fire line, the sprinkler lines, the fire line sprinkler lines, it was not working actually. And the fire work was actually going on, which was not completed. Here what happened was, that particular one of a machine in that started fire. There was some uh, short circuit, electrical short circuit inside that, and there happened like sparks, and there were lubrication oils in that like machinery, and the fire started very high, and it was gone out of control. The electrical fire started in very high, and it got major. The fire department or the fire fighting team were actually around like 40 kilometers, that much amount of distance to reach over there. What happened was, by the time the firefighters came, there were no like water units and everything to support that firefighting. and 80% of that company on that night itself was turned into ashes, complete ashes. The rest of the 20% also, it is only just for understanding like what came in documentation, but everything is gone. Everything is gone. Nothing from that can be utilized, nothing. The whole unit was been destroyed in fire. And later what happened to that company was, even though they had their old unit, they lose the clients, because the client who gives them contract, who has their targets, their achievements. So when such a company has like such faults, their health and safety is compromised, they have this much amount of potential risk which will also affect us as the client. So this trust was lost, and the client also they lost, the work contracts they lost, the job work order and everything they were losing. Finally that company, even though they having their old setup, they were unable to run, and they gone to a major loss, bankrupt, and the company was closed. So that is what it is said. When a major accident happens in a company, the company again to recover it, the company again to recover it is very like less chances that happens. Whenever a major accident happens in a particular company, there are a lot of losses that happens, and in that the financial reason is the one main thing that makes the company only going to shut down. Sorry, not shut down, like the company been completely closed. The Union Carbide is closed in Bhopal after that accident itself. So in these three reasons, moral, financial, and legal, financial reasons should always be made understood to everyone, to the company's top management, that if by not following the health and safety at any of the site, any of the workplaces, anywhere, the consequences that will face will be such type of catastrophic and dangerous accidents, which will lead to more amount of financial, like failure and money loss that happens. So it's better that health and safety is to be followed and shall be followed at every industries to mitigate such type of accidents. Now, in the accidents, we said about the financial impact. So there are actually two types of accident cost. So we say it as like direct cost, and second is indirect cost. Now, direct cost, as said over here, is measurable cost arising immediately after an accident, and indirect cost that arise as a result of the accident. Difficult to quantify, measure, or estimate, and often hidden. One simple thing, just think it is a construction industry, and there is a worker working over here, working over there, and he was working in a machine, and his hand got fractured or like injured, fractured. So now that particular person is to be taken to the hospital. He is to be given like a required medical, like first aid is to be given that at the site, and he shall be taken to the hospital, and their medical treatment is to be given. Then afterwards, we understand at that time only that he cannot work for the coming days, and compensation is to be given to him, because just think if the fault was from the construction site company, because the machine was not in a good condition, maintenance was not done, it was not his fault, it was the machinery's fault, and the machinery was not maintained by the engineer, and why the engineer didn't maintain it, because the company had not been given the required amount of budget or fundings to do maintenance. So who is responsible? The company is responsible, and hence by compensation should be given to that particular person, as he was working in the industry. So compensation to be given, and he cannot be able to work, shall not be able to work for like around 1 or 2 months. then that particular salary is also to be given to the particular worker. So we understand what all consequences can happen, what all cost can come. So we can measure that, we can identify that, we can understand that after an accident happens. So that comes in direct cost. Okay, that are measurable, that can be measured. Now the second thing, that is indirect cost. So now the accident has happened over here. Now these are the things that we cannot see, we cannot identify, or we cannot quantify, we cannot measure that things, estimate. It is hidden actually. Now what are they? And this happens after the accident. Such like, the first thing, see, when an accident happens over there, now this worker I said you, just think, he has his own friend circle over there, that worker. So they all will lose their moral, will become down. Not only the workers, the engineer that was been like there working there, the supervisor, the other staff and everyone, they will lose their moral. How? They will think that he was a person that was working with us, and today he has faced the accident, and there are chances that tomorrow I could also face that such type of accidents over here. The company is not safe, the health and safety at this particular workplace is not good. So when the moral is lost, the people are not interested to work over that company, they shift to another company, like they try to leave that company and go for a like better company. Safety is a priority, safety is a matter, yes. So when they go, now that particular company who is not following good health and safety still requires, like if an engineer is gone, then that post is vacant, and they require like a new engineer to be appointed over there. So when the HR like finds like searches, if just think, you are an engineer, so you will also review that company, is it a good company? And you understand, no, this company has a lot of accidents. Why? Because their system is not good, their safety system is not good, and their health and safety is weak. So you no one will go, no one will go, because see, safety is a basic thing that we require, whether it could be like in our domestic life, or it could be a commercial life, it could be at workplace, anywhere, occupational, anywhere. It is a required like basic thing, and that needs to be required. So HR will not get the required person, and this all things becomes, and we cannot identify, we cannot like quantify or measure. Such things could happen on the running time, this all things could happen. That comes in indirect cost. So with just one example, I wanted to make you understand what is direct cost and what is indirect cost. Now let's see it in deep. As you can see examples of direct cost, first you can see when an accident happens, as I said you, first aid should be given, medical treatment should be given. Second, that same worker, he should be given with compensation. And third, after treatment, he is to be like in a sick leave, and at that time he is to be paid by the company. Then if he was working with any of the machineries, just think, if he was like an excavation or operator, or he was a pokelane machine operator, or if he was like a JCB machine operator, so with any of the tools he was working, or sometimes it could be a machine, sometimes it could be a tool, whatever it might be. So with the accident, if that tools were also damaged, then that repairing and everything should be done, so that also cost comes. And mainly loss of production time while dealing with the injury. We everyone know accident happen anywhere in the world. There is like a basic like a normal thing that happens, everyone gathers over there. Some people have the mindset to help, support, care, give the required assistance, and other people also come over there, look at there. And why gathering happens like this? Because They don't know what is a proper health and safety practice. If there is a good health and safety culture, then everyone has a responsibility that they see it, understand it, and be a part of it. Like what I should have to contribute in this particular condition. So now when this gathering has happened over here, there is definitely production time been losing. Just think a company has rented and like a JCB or like a Poklin machine or any machineries is rented and such accident happens. So their like working time has been lost, production time is lost, and hence by there is losses being faced to the company. So such type of accident that happening, there comes a gap, and with that gap, it also make direct losses, direct cost to the company. Then if the company had not followed the required like compliances, required safety, and it was the fault of the company, and after the investigation, after the report, it is found that if it was the company's fault by the enforcement agencies, then they will have to face the legal fines and penalties. So these are all the like direct costs that happens to the company. And now coming to the indirect cost, as I said you, first thing, reduction in staff morale. The staff will lose their morale. So yes, it's everywhere. When an accident happens at your particular site, everyone's morale loses over there. No one is welcoming accident. No one likes the accident at their site. But when it happens, everyone's morale is down. So its impact is there for a long time. It is not that today an accident has happened, tomorrow everyone forgets it. No. By sometimes by months, sometimes by years, that particular sort of like incident reminding to each and everyone will always be there. There was a site, and it was like a shipyard. So there what happened was an accident happened in which that particular person's like leg was cut, not completely cut, which means from upper side his leg was cut. Today he's actually recovered, no issues. But at that time his leg was cut by a particular like hydrojet machine, and completely his body was on blood at that time. Completely the place, everything was on blood. The person who was going to carry him was in blood. He himself was in blood, and everyone was in blood at that time. The particular place, everything. At that particular place, afterwards, it was actually a busy place, like where people go, come. It's a working place. So it was found. I myself found that afterwards people were not actually crossing that place, even though there happened like barricade and everything. The report was taken after 2 to 3 days. The place was open, but still people used to cross on other side. They avoided that place because it triggers in their mind that that accident happened over there. So that creates a moral down, and they avoid it. So reduction in staff moral, it affects in like very different types depending on the staff, like how they have like worked in previous company, if it was a good health and safety culture, and now they feel is that the there is no good practice, then it affects in very high in their moral. Then as I said, you to get recruiting and retaining staff will be difficult for the HR division, human resource division. The customers and the client will lose trust on that company. See, now as I said you, that particular detergent company, they had it got a job work order, and when that production due to that accident happened in which the complete unit was in fire, destroyed. Here the client is also losing his orders, and he is also waiting for the company to give the production. So when the client is identifying that in this company such amount of like a dangerous accident is happening, and again there are potential to happen, then it is better that I should have to find a I should have to find a company who has a good health and safety practices. Why? There will be no accidents, no such sort of incident will happen, and there will be smooth going, no risk. So that is what every client and customers need. Then again, see, today Union Carbide's reputation, their image is zero. Such like that, after every accident, the company's image and its reputation goes down. Just think if a famous company, it could be like they might be having a product like noodles, and throughout globally they have their this brand been running, and everyone from children's to all people are enjoying it, and the particular enforcement authorities, sometimes the food authorities, they finds like a dangerous amount of like chemicals is there in that particular food, that noodles, that could cause dangerous health issues in the future. So when these things runs in the media, in the news, in the social medias and all, now see, identify one thing: it is running globally very smooth. Their profits is going good. So, but once this such type of genuine news comes, they completely lose their public image. They completely lose a business reputation, and finally, what happens is they will lose their entire market, and their business will be completely shut down. So this also happens. So such type of indirect cost we cannot measure. Will it happen? Or we cannot identify, quantify, or measure nothing. In the running time, this all things happen. Then the last thing is poor industrial relations, like strikes and everything. Some days before only, what happened was there was a company, they were making the workers to do overtime, and they were not giving that in their salary, that amount in their salary, that overtime schedule that they were doing, that amount was not reflected in their salary. They were not providing it. So they were utilizing these particular workers by making them do the overtime. And finally, what happened was all the workers, they came, they protested, and they did a strike in the company. And finally, the strike was very big, that every entire workers was doing that strike. And later, the management was forced to accept their conditions that was said by the workers union and their welfare committee team. So, but what has happened is, in this incident also, what happened is a lot of videos had circulated in the media, in the social media also, and that company's name is also being used, and it is a very big company, very old company also, reputed company also, branded company, and they had lost like their image in the market, because before that also the people had a good image of their company, which is the best, like very best company in India, and like hearing that type of news, it shows like the image being degraded by taking inappropriate actions in which the worker is affected, and hence that particular work or that contract that they had, they also lose that. So these are all the indirect costs that happen when an accident happens, when a major accident happens. So we had seen direct cost, indirect cost. Now we are going to see next is that we had seen the direct cost. There is people being harmed, people being injured, people being uh, facing injury, and also the tools and machineries and everything. So now what we are going to see is, after every accident, when there is harm, injury, damage, everything, are they insured or are they uninsured? Now, what is insured and uninsured? That we see over here, that is the insured and uninsured cost. So what is insured cost? Cost covered by company insurance policies after an accident. See, we know there are insurance for the workers, there are insurance for the equipments, machineries, and plants. Insurances are there. That means if a worker is being injured, then there are like group medical insurance claims that he can go for, that his employer will have, in which whatever medical cost is there, it will be claimed. So that is a benefit of the insurance. But there are some things that everything is not covered in the insurance, and there is the other thing, other cost, that is the uninsured cost. A cost not covered by insurance and paid directly by the organization. So now let's see that. So here we can see Frank Bird. He had made this theory that is also called as the iceberg theory of accident cost. So insured costs are visible and represent only a small part of total accident cost. And what is uninsured? Uninsured costs are hidden and usually much higher. So we can see over here the diagram. The iceberg that you see on the upside, that is written 1 pound, and below the sea, the ice you see like 8 pound and 8 pound to like 36 pound. Now what is this? It says that, as I said you, a worker being injured, a worker being ill health, a damage happening to the machineries like JCB, Pocklane machines, or any machineries which have insurance as per their policies are insured cost, and for that insurance is being provided. And now in the uninsured cost, what happens is there are a lot of things that comes. Sick pay is not covered in insurance, which means a worker is injured, treatment first aid and everything is been given in the hospital. He has been given compensation for that accident, and afterwards, when he is there for the sick pay, if it could be like a 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, whatever it might be, his salary is to be given to him. So that is not covered by the insurance. It is uninsured cost. Then next is lost output. We had lost the time over there. The output is lost. That particular worker also, his contribution of work is lost over there. So the output, the result from him is also lost over there. The company is also losing its output by that accident that happened over there. For repairs and everything, see what happens in insurance, there are also their policies, insurance policies. Sometimes not every complete damage is being covered. There are some things that is to be done, so repair also comes in that. Excess is on insurance. There are limitations of insurance, and above anything comes, then that goes in excess on insurance. Then there is diversion of labor, the investigation that happens, the administration work, the overtime working, the lost expertise and experience, and fines and everything. This doesn't comes in the insurance. This is not covered in the insurance, and it is counted as uninsured cost. And we had before seen the example like a person being injured in a construction site with a machine, his hand is fractured. So in we can see that case. So this is same that is applicable over there. See, for every £1, or it could be like $1.25 or like rupees 105 of insured cost, that the uninsured cost may be like £8 to £36, or it could be like $10 to $45, or it could be like 840 to 3,780 like rupees, which means for £1 of insured cost happens for a particular accident, the uninsured cost that we should have to identify all like these things, it is much higher, like 4 to 10 times higher. So this theory is very important, and when an accident happens, even though you have insurance, the insurance has also their limitations, and it covers a small part, but the hidden thing and the higher part, there is a big part that the organization should itself have to cover that, which is uninsured, and they should have to pay by themselves. This particular organization, company, etc., they should have to do it themselves. So this is the Frankfurt theory, the iceberg theory. Iceberg theory is very simple, like uninsured costs are usually much higher than insured cost, and this diagram is important to understand that. The insured cost is less as comparing to the uninsured cost that happens. So now moving to the next. Yeah, we can see over the proper examples over here. In the insured cost, you can see any damage that happens to the plant, sorry, not any damage, the damage that happens to the plant, or it could be a building, or it could be an equipment. That could be by any reasons. It could be like a electrical short circuit, it could be like fire, whatever happens over there. So that is being insured. Now there is compensation paid to injured workers. Then there is medical and treatment cost. It is also been insured. Then the plant and equipments. If any damage happens to them, just think an excavation machine was working in a particular mining place and damage has happened to that while working. So that has also been like taken in the insurance, in the insured cost. Then legal cost related to compensation claims. Now legal cost related to compensation claims only, not every legal cost, but only relating to the compensation claims that is being given to the affected or the victim person. So these are all the types of insured cost. Now coming to the uninsured cost, we see like the production delays and operation downtime that happens over there, the loss of raw materials due to accidents, the time spent on accident investigation. Okay, the people from the staff and from the departments, they come for the accident investigation, they see over there. So there is also time and everything been gone. So that we cannot be see or like it is not insured, and hence it comes in the uninsured cost. The criminal fines and penalties that happens, those are also counted in uninsured cost. The sick pay beyond insurance coverage. In the insurance also, they have the limitations, and after that limitation when it goes, those also comes in uninsured cost. The overtime required to recover lost production. So when the production goes behind due to all these accidents and everything, so by with overtime, sorry, due to that accident, if the production becomes behind, then overtime is being applied to the production to meet its required time, required target to achieve. So those all things are not covered. Then the hiring and training replacement employees, this was also not covered in uninsured cost. Sorry, in the insured cost it is not covered. The loss of business reputation and trust, so this also doesn't comes in the insured cost. So this everything is being reflected, is being coming in the uninsured cost. But this all everything is a burden to that particular organization. This comes to the organization, and they should have to the finances is to be put by their own. The company should have to look after this. So here there is financial losses that happens. So by looking to all these things, we have seen the accidents when happening, the financial impact happens when there is a major accident. Not only major accidents, any accident happening to a particular site, industry, sector, or units, definitely there happens a financial impact, and followingly they faces the direct cost, indirect cost, and leading to also the insured also is not, everything is not being insured. So after that, the uninsured cost that they face, they should have to like they should have to look after that. The finances, they should have to clear that from the company's profit, they should have to do it. So that actually becomes a very big burden for the company. That is a very big loss that happens. Now, even in the Bhopal gas tragedy, they have given this much big amount of compensation. So just think, it is actually the hard earned money and the company's profit by doing how many hours of work, how many years of like hard work of everyone, like the workers, the departments, the companies, everyone's. And due to such accidents, all that particular huge amount of compensation is to be given. So this all things need to be controlled. And health and safety, this one point is very important, financial. So the company should be made understood that following health and safety is much better than not following the health and safety, and with that leading to the accident, which will make a very big financial impact. Comparing to that, it is good health and safety is being followed. So we had seen the moral obligation, moral reasons for managing health and safety. We had seen the financial impact in which we should have to manage health and safety. Now the main thing, see, even though the two things are very important, moral obligation, financial obligations, sorry, financial impact and everything, still what happens, there are companies internationally, still they compromise these two things, which means the moral obligation, it is like ethics, okay, that can be compromised. And now financial reasons, the company thinks accidents are like chances that will happen, let's take some risk, or they avoid health and safety. Because what happens when an accident happens at a particular site, at that time the they have one sort of their mind starts to work at that particular time, or the brain starts to run at that particular time, or the bulb starts to glow in their head at that particular time. Same like that, what I want to say is that here these two things can be compromised, moral and financial. But the third thing that we are going to see, that is the more strongest pillar to manage health and safety, and that is the biggest weapon of, even though if it is a health and safety practitioner, everyone's weapon, that is the legal reason for managing health and safety. See, there are safety officers, there are health and safety practitioners. That particular work, that particular post is also there in every country, because there is a law that is making mandatory there should be such professional people in the industry is to be required. When the both thing will be compromised, the moral and financial, this third thing cannot be compromised, never. And this is the main reason why most of the companies are legally abided to follow health and safety. And now we see that why legal requirements matter in health and safety. Moral and financial duties can be compromised, and legal duties cannot be ignored. Whenever a new industry setup happens, they should have to abide that particular state law, that country's law, and with that required mandatory requirements this company follows, and they should have to make the compliances being followed. Law is mandatory and not optional. So in every countries the law is mandatory and that cannot be avoided. Non-compliances leads to penalties, prosecution and closure. If any of the industries is not following the required health and safety practice, and which leads to accidents, and followingly what will happen is they shall have to face the penalties, prosecution and closure. Now in the Bhopal gas itself, in the Union Carbide case, what happened is, when after the accident happened, the Supreme Court had punished, penalty was given already, the amount we have seen, the financial impact. The prosecution has also happened over there. Now, what is the prosecution? Like jail, fines and all legal proceedings that happens, the trials and everything, court trials and everything. So here what happened is, from the chairman position till the people who was working in the plant, like around 5 to 6 people were being jailed in this particular place, this particular Union Carbide of that particular company. Around 6 people were jailed. Why? Everyone had it their responsibility to follow health and safety, and they had not followed it, which had lead them to they had not followed their health and safety that is been required, and hence they were required to comply with that. By not following that, they were being prosecuted and they had to face jail. So at every, see, when you have to handle higher responsibilities, you have higher responsibilities of health and safety also. As we said in the beginning only, employers also have to follow the health and safety, and hence by you should have to follow it. So when this legal requirement is not been followed in health and safety, closure can also happen, which means that particular site can also get the NOC, they will get the objection certificate, and it will also lead to closure over there. So we should have to understand that legal duties are always to be enforceable. The authorities can like inspect, prosecute, and penalize. There are a lot of enforcement authorities in every countries, and they will inspect the site, they will inspect the particular industry, they will prosecute, and it will also lead to the penalties and everything. So the individually, the managers, see, understand this point very much important. Every industry there is a manager. Fact, it could be a factory manager, it could be like a project manager, it could be the manager of the plant manager, and all these things. So here what happens is, they are the manager, they are the responsible person for that particular work, and hence by they are like the managers are completely responsible for that particular accident also, because their responsibility that they hold is very big, and hence by, if being not followed properly, if health and safety is not followed, the responsibility is not done, then they are the first line of people who are to face this particular like uh, prosecution and all this legal things, financial things also, everything. And it is very important that compliance, like to protect the workers, organization, and management is very much important. So this is the basic of like legal reasons that we need to understand is to be like applied in the industries. So the three things: moral, financial, and legal aspects is very much important and is a pillar in the industry, and that needs to be followed. We will start within 5 minutes. Shall take a break over here.